All right, hello to your first 100 videos in the commonplace category. You can use these title keywords for other categories. It's just going to require a little bit more imagination on your part. So obviously this is a page of 25. There are some pages after this, which we will get to in a bit. I'm going to talk through how I made these videos, how they are categorized, and what I think you should probably do with them if you're planning on making a 100 video playlist. Now, why would you be working on making a 100 video playlist? Well, I assume that you're going to be working on something academically related, as this is a commonplace channel. However, this could be about something else. And so all I did to get this information is, well, it's actually kind of a lot. So I looked through all the videos on YouTube that had anything related to commonplacing. And so that was roughly 470 videos. I think I still have another video on the channel related to that. And if it's not visible, you might have to look through some of the unlisted videos. So what I did is I organized a group of 100 keywords that I thought were the most relevant to the 100 videos. And the reason I did this is because people were basically making the same video over and over again. They were like, what is it? And how do I make one? And that was it. I was just like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. We should probably have more video categories. And so some people would also make flip throughs and, you know, because they'd be like, I have a book. And then people would be like, cool, can I see it? And so sometimes they would actually show the inside of the book. But anyways, I've been babbling for far too long. I feel like if you don't use this keyword list and you try to come up with one on your own, it'll probably take about a year. And so if you want to be able to skip that and you want to be able to get right into actually making videos that you feel someone else has already tried before, but they're not so similar that it feels like you're blatantly copying someone, then I think these keywords are a good way to go. So the first video on this list is introducing. And so all I'm doing in the first video of the playlist is I'm introducing the thing I'm talking about. So I'm introducing the commonplace binder. So if you have a channel about cars, I guess you could say introducing the car. Now you could also title it a bit differently. I'm not really sure how you'd want to do that. But there are some videos later on, like for example, the alternatives video keyword, where I don't actually say alternatives. Like I don't say alternatives to this thing. I will just say like this thing or this other thing to like give someone other options. And so some of the keywords are used directly, others are just more of like a mental note. Okay, so the first one is introducing. By the way, you will see check marks next to the videos that performed in the top third, and these are the view counts. And so obviously the beginning of the playlist is normally going to have the most views. So if you see a video later on that has a lot of views, like this one did very well, Change Your Life. Obviously that was something people wanted to see far more than this other video. So people didn't really care about seeing the setup, but they did care about changing their life. And so your audience might be a little bit different. Your audience might care a lot about how to set something up and not really care about where their life is headed. But you know, just based on this playlist and no vibes or anything, obviously, I would assume that people care a little bit more about how to change their life as opposed to just set up something random that they may or may not have ever heard of before. So second, we have how to. That was also one of the videos in the top third, which was very exciting. And we got over 100 views, which is very important to me because I wanted to make a 100 video playlist in which the videos on average would get at least 100 views. And my thought process was that would get me to at least 10,000 views on the channel. Now, some people will tell you to just make a video that gets 10,000 views and like, sure, you know, like that's probably good. But I wanted to learn the process of actually making videos. I wanted to know that whatever success I had would be replicatable, that I would be able to do this for the rest of my life, that it didn't matter if I made 100 videos or 10,000 videos, I would have a process and I would grind the videos out regardless of their quality, and the quality would improve over time. And so I am definitely brute forcing this. This is not an artistic vision, even though I do try to push towards more art-related subjects. So how to just became how to start your own commonplace binder. So again, we're talking about the commonplace binder because this was in the commonplacing category all of the videos were about commonplace books, and I needed my own keyword. So I made commonplace binder. So I just changed book to binder. And so what I did, or at least what the intention was to turn a single category into two categories, one in which I controlled half of all of the views, because I was basically saying, yeah, you made a video on commonplace book, I made a video on commonplace binder. If all of the videos in this category have one of those two titles, then people who are new to this might be a little confused. They might be like, wait a second, should I focus on the book or should I focus on the binder? Well, I'm more familiar with binders, so why don't I go with the commonplace binder? I did also mention that, commonplace binder is a made-up term. Some people might have said it before, but I really forced it in the playlist. And so what we're really talking about is commonplace books, although the way that I work on a commonplace book is a little bit different. And so in that way, it does actually deserve its own category because it is kind of something else. But yeah, then we get to number 3. I crossed that out. Number 3 had a pretty good view count. 69 is way higher than 45. And the reason I got rid of journal is because journal videos do not do well on my channel. So I have a bunch of other videos later on, like ways to journal, that are journal related or actually include journal in the title. And the reason why I crossed all of them out is because the people who watch my channel also watch other channels. And some of the other channels that they watch are about, white women that are around 20 years old that have their own special journal. And so a lot of people just want to watch a young woman talk about her diary, basically. And so they're not as interested in some random guy in his 30s talking about something that doesn't look as pretty when he also sounds a little bit rushed. And, it's it's just not the same sort of content. And so what I noticed, in addition to commonplace book potentially not working for me and me needing to make commonplace binder, is that specific things within the category, like journal, are just not something I should be making because there are other people who are better suited to make that sort of content. And it's also not really what I want to make. And would you rather watch a journal video related to a binder or a book, right? Some people will say the binder, but I think most people will say the book. And so as soon as I started making these commonplace binder videos regularly, there were actually some channels that started cutting up their books to present a binder, which is so funny because I I think most of the channels in the commonplace category make something entirely from scratch or entirely copied. And so it's like one or the other. There's basically nothing in between. And so my channel was able to fill the gap in the middle where I thought almost everyone would be. But it turns out almost everyone was either just completely copying someone or making something entirely original that nobody watched because people only wanted 2 or 3 different things. It's just what is it? Why? And let me see. And that was it. There wasn't a lot. So then we have setup. Just setting up a hybrid system. This video is probably pretty weak because it's in the first 5 and it didn't even make it to 100 views. And of the ones that I didn't cross out, it's the only one that remains under 100 views. And so when I remake all of these videos, because the reason I have this list is because I have 100 things written down. I'm promoting 33 of the things. So that means this would originally go from 100 to 133, except I'm also eliminating the bottom third. So I'm eliminating 33 of them. And so that brings the number of videos down to 100 again. And so all I'm doing is I'm doubling the good stuff and I'm eliminating the bad stuff. And the stuff that's okay, I'm just going to try it again. Obviously a little differently, because this didn't work so well. Number 5, commonplace books. And so some of these categories are a little odd. You'll see commonplace books here, but you also see should start a commonplace book. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is when I was categorizing the 470 videos in the beginning, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing because I was trying to categorize 470 different things when I had never really had a strategy for making YouTube videos before. I would only clip gaming content or take a little video of a cat or a plant, and that was about it. And so, other than just walking in front of the camera and saying random words without even having planned ahead of time what I was going to say, this was really the only way to make it happen. I had to make a big list, and I had to try to improve the quality of the list. So commonplace books for number 5, how to take notes in a commonplace binder. This title is somewhat long. And so what I should have made the title was how to make notes. And then I should have had in the video thumbnail. Sorry, if you just heard that, that's thunder outside. Actually, I'm going to get a drink of water because that freaked me out. All right, what I should have done is I should have had how to take notes as the main title because that's very broad. And then I should have had in a commonplace binder in the thumbnail so that people would be able to see both the things and know that it was specific, but it got their attention. And so if they were curious, they could check it out, but they weren't necessarily required to do so. But of course I didn't do that because most of these videos are just me standing in front of a camera being like, I'm holding a thing. And I've got some note cards on a wall behind me. What do you think about that? And so some people would click it out of curiosity, but other people would be like, dude, I'm here for a book. Where's the book? Anyways, number 6, starting. So that video did okay. If starting in commonplace binder, ... I made sure to include ... in this title, as well as capitalizing everything. But in the previous one, I didn't capitalize everything. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is I was trying out every variation. And so some things I thought would do well, and other things would do poorly. But I also thought that if I only did the things that did well all of the time, people would just be like, this is the same thing every time, and I'm bored. And so I would sometimes have things that had some capitalization, and other times everything would have only capitalization. Then we have number 7, vlog, which did extremely poorly. The reason for that is pretty obvious. So I told you I stand in front of a wall, and I basically have a talking head video. I don't have B-roll. I'm literally just staring at whoever's watching the video, and I'm just like looking at them. And so that doesn't really work for a vlog. You know, like struggling to vlog my ideas journal. Yeah, dude, because you don't really have a journal, and you're not really vlogging. And are you really talking about your ideas if the video is like short and mentions the things that are in all the other videos? Like technically they are. It's just not a good video. Like, it's not a good video for the channel, but it's also not a good video overall. And so vlogging, not doing that. Number 8, plan. Did okay. Plan a journal session with me. Again, journal was mentioned, and journaling just doesn't do well on the channel. Then we've got number 9, ways to journal. Also, complete fail. So, ways to journal in a commonplace binder. We've already talked about how to take notes in a commonplace binder. So why would people need ways to journal, right? We've already talked about how to start. So why would they need ways to journal? We've already talked about like all of these other journal related things and how to actually journal in a commonplace binder. So why would people want the ways to journal in a commonplace binder video? And so sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to make the right video, but it's just not going to be the right video anymore because you've already made the same video and people just aren't interested. Or it's like redundant because there are like 5 different videos that talk about basically the same thing. So up next we have how to commonplace. That one did very okay. And then how to keep a commonplace binder. So I changed a little bit from how to commonplace to how to keep a commonplace binder. And the reason for that is because I wasn't sure how to make a how to commonplace video. I just like, unless that was the title. But I think how to commonplace was a title that other channels had used, and that's why I have it saved as how to commonplace. Because when I was sorting everything, I was sorting things into categories that were very similar to each other. And so if one video was like another, well, they ended up in the same place. Thunder's getting pretty loud. Okay, I think we're on number 11, change your life. That one did very well. A commonplace binder might change your life. And so I'm not talking about how it actually is going to do anything. I'm just talking about how it might do something. And so it might be that the video would have done better if I said will, like a commonplace binder will change your life, or change your life with a commonplace binder, or, whatever other variation. But it seems like a commonplace binder might change your life. So you could put whatever your thing is and then might change your life for one of your videos. Part of the reason I'm also showing this as opposed to just leaving it in the flip through and letting time automatically show it to people is that I really want to demonstrate that you can actually make a 100 video playlist on YouTube, no problem. Even if it's mostly something I'm working on. So you can just take the main keyword, like setup, for example, and then you can just add a bunch of words after it that are related to the subject. And some of these videos, they're going to flop. They're going to do absolutely horribly. But if your objective is just to get comfortable making videos, I highly recommend just making the videos, right? As long as you're not breaking the rules and you are trying to express something and you are actually doing it, then it should be fine. Obviously don't clickbait people. But these are not really clickbait videos. If I wanted to make any of these much more clickable, I would add a word like slop or disaster or crisis or whatever else will, get people angry or agitated. But these are mostly just academic style videos where it's is the person going to say anything? I hope so. Do they have any qualifications? I hope so. And then someone will just click on the video. So it's not a very competitive space because there are not a lot of people who will be in academia or an academic related space, decide to do something private, and then also share it as content creation. That, it's a very specific type of person that is required to make commonplace book videos. It basically doesn't exist because it's someone who's going to seek all the views but doesn't actually want any of the views, but will work to get the views, but won't expect to get paid for the views. But it's there's so many things happening that are contradictory. And so there's just not a lot of commonplace book videos. Obviously, if you're making Minecraft videos, those are everywhere. But yeah, we gotta move on. So 12, my system. Again, it's just pretty average. It's my commonplace binder system. So whose commonplace binder system? Mine. And that's it. It's just that is a very adequate video. And you'll really see that any of the videos that are around 100 views, they're just very okay. They're not clickable. It's just a video where it's is the person mildly interested? Sure, they could click on that. Then we've got with me. So 127, create a commonplace binder with me. So instead of just being I have this thing, and not even saying if that's cool or terrible or whatever else, I'm saying look, I have a thing. It's implied that I have a thing if I'm saying you can do this with me, or that I'm working towards a goal. And so there's a little bit more interest there. Now, it's not a big difference. Obviously, we just have to, subtract 8 from 27 and get 19. So there's a 19 view difference. So there's not a big difference, but there is a small difference. And so it could be that the thumbnails were slightly different in a way that got people more interested in one than the other. Could be that it just came out on a better day for people to view. But, you're not going to learn this unless you make the video. If you just, think about the theory over and over and over again in different ways or the same way, it's not really going to do anything. At some point, you just have to make the video. Here we have alternatives. So this one was 96 views. So it was a little bit under what I was hoping for. But a personal library or a study of self. So I think there was a question mark at the end. This sort of video, I think, was a bit unusual for the channel. And so people weren't really sure what they were looking at because I'm talking about commonplace books, commonplace binders, maybe, a little bit of life improvement stuff. And then I'm talking about a personal library or a study of self. It just doesn't really fit with what I've been putting forward before. And so I think the people who are interested in alternatives really enjoyed that video because they were oh, wow, you're trying something new and it's something that I haven't heard before. Because like a personal library and a study of self don't exactly sound like the same thing, but someone might be able to think through how they might be connected. And so it might apply to their own life in a slightly different way. Or at least that's the way I'm thinking about it. So here we have number 15, shared. The reason this has a line through it is because I had originally removed 10 videos from my 100 video playlist based on the view counts that the videos had within the first 50 videos, or like within the time it took me to record the first videos, something like that. The reason I crossed out shared here is because when I was going through the stuff, I saw it only had 48 views, and I was like, I got to get rid of it. But what actually happened is that other videos were eliminated early on. So I think, I don't know what they were, but we'll get to them in a bit. Basically, the point is when I did this out of order in different steps. And so when you're making your list of 100 videos, just make sure that you know what you're saving, why you're saving it, and when you're actually deciding what you're saving or getting rid of. And so I did this preemptively, and like this is like the remake. And so when I did the remake, I didn't remember exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And so that's another reason you should probably take notes on the proper way to do the thing. Then we have, where were we? We did shared. Oh yeah, shared was 48 views. Should I tag sharing a tour or flip through? And so this isn't actually touring the binder. This isn't actually flipping through the binder. And so I think people were kind of like, dude, like, why are you asking me? Just show me both. Or like, show me one. Why are you asking me? And so this probably should be crossed out, but because we're following the rules of holding on to the middle third, I've decided to just hold on to this one. And so I'm going to try redoing that again. Maybe shared will work better as something that's talking about something that I did actually share as opposed to potentially sharing in the future. So then we've got number 16, entries, 176. So that did pretty well. My new commonplace binder entries. So this was very helpful actually to see that it did well, because my new, something that I have that's new, that's like a novel thing for someone to look at. So that's kind of fun. Commonplace binder that talks about the actual playlist itself, and entries. And so people will actually get to see what's inside. So whereas beforehand I was talking about how like I might be sharing a tour or a flip through, but I don't know if I want to. I just want to ask you guys like which thing I should do. It just wasn't as appealing as like, yeah, these are my new binder entries. It's like, oh, you're just going to show me, rather than talking about how you don't know if you should show me or not. So you're going to show me? Great, let me see it. And so you might have some videos that do well, not because they're good videos, but because they came after an awful one. And I think that's what happened here. Then we've got 17, history. So that was only 43 views. A modern history of commonplace books. The reason I have history as a category, I think this is actually a category that had almost nothing in it, is because it was somewhat unusual. And so there were only a few videos, I think it was under 10 videos, that were related to anything related to the history of commonplace books or commonplace binders. And so I decided to make that its own category. And technically it did survive, like it didn't score in the bottom third. So there is some value there, but it's not really something that is going to get everyone's attention. And so I think this sort of video is great to have in your playlist, where you talk about the history of the thing, even if it's a very brief history, simply because it's not the same thing as what you've been talking about. And so people can see that you're actually working on multiple ways of expressing the ideas, and that you've actually worked on multiple ways of understanding the ideas before talking about them. And then we've got tutorial with only 34 views. Again, that didn't do well because I've been talking about how to do the things. So if I'm talking about tutorial, people are like, what are you doing? Right? Like, that doesn't really make sense. And I also titled it how to use my commonplace binder tutorials. Like that's really bad for the channel, because if the tutorials are good, you don't need to know how to use them, right? So like, why would you, this video doesn't need to exist. So like, I don't need tutorial here because these other videos are tutorials. And then it talks about how to use the other videos when people already know how to use the other videos. It doesn't make any sense. Then we've got Second Brain for number 19 with only 35 views. The Wisdom of an Ancient Second Brain. This one was a little bit out there in terms of a title idea. And so I think what happened was it was just a title that people didn't really understand. So like if it was an ancient second brain, then they might be more curious than the wisdom of an ancient second brain. Because I'm kind of, with wisdom, I'm talking about more of a philosophical goodness. But with second brain, I'm more so talking about something related to AI or, a culture of excellence at a school that's like specifically striving for credentials rather than actual knowledge. And so I think this was a little bit confusing as a title because I'm basically pulling in two different directions or pushing in two different directions, maybe even both at the same time. And so people didn't really know what to do with that. I don't know if that was a bad video, but I do know it just doesn't really make sense as a title. And so if you talk about a second brain, which is basically just saying you're storing information outside of yourself, usually in a digital format, you probably want to go all in on the actual digital aspect. But I don't know, because it didn't do very well, and I'm never doing it again. Now, I might accidentally on my own come up with a concept of second brain, or it might be related to something else. But I'm not going to seek it out. I'm just not doing that. Number 20 should start a commonplace book, 394. And so I just changed that to should start a commonplace binder, because if other people have made the should start a commonplace book video, then I should just make the should start a commonplace binder. And that video did very well because I'm telling people to do a thing that they haven't done before that's very close to the thing that they're already familiar with, that they've potentially already done. And so all I'm saying is you should try this thing, which is basically what you've been doing, but maybe in a way that's a little bit easier for you. And so if you have something like this on the subject that you want to talk about, I think this is a really good way to do it, because you've already done it, so just do it again, but in a slightly different way. That might be more fun. So number 21, becoming an expert, 240 views. And then how my lessons might create an expert. I think this video did well because of the thumbnail. And I think that was because I was wearing orange. Now, I found on my channel that if you wear orange, or if I wear orange specifically, the video either flops, nobody watches it, or it does amazing compared to average. And so it looks like this one did well. It might not be that I'm actually wearing orange, but I based on my memory, which is flawed because it's a memory, I think this is one of the ones where I was wearing orange. So just keep that in mind, that you might have some videos that do well or poorly based on a specific color that you happen to be wearing in the thumbnail or the video itself. I think this one was a little curious for people, how my lessons might create an expert. Man, you got a big ego if you're making a video like that. And so people might have showed up to roast me. It could also be that people were like, my lessons? What lessons? Where are your lessons? Can I find them? Might create an expert. If someone wants to be smart or seen as smart, they might chase that because they're just I don't know what that is. I'm curious. And so I think this was a bunch of different things that were good at the same time, or just kind of okay, and there was nothing that was a deal breaker. Number 22, reading better at 51 views. Not really what I want to see, but vlogging over reading better. Again, vlogging doesn't work for me, as we mentioned here. And so, vlogging and journal are just kind of done. I'm not doing that again because it doesn't go well. Except it looks like I am doing this again. So I'm going to have to talk about it in a way other than vlogging, unless I'm actually wandering around outside doing more of a vlog. 23, how I. So I already have stuff about me and how to do things. And so I think how I keep setting up new tutorials is just not exciting for people. Also, it's okay, what you do a task, and then it's keep setting up new tutorials, and so it's you made a video about how you keep making videos when we're here to learn about something other than making videos. I know that the video I'm making right now is about making videos, but that is specific to the commonplace category. This is just like how I keep setting up new tutorials. It's like, are you on drugs? Or are you getting paid? Like, how are you making all of these videos? Do you have an assistant? But no, all I did was I made a plan ahead of time. But that's not really a video. Like, that's just, I made a plan, I executed the plan, here we are. And so if that video were near the end of the playlist, that might be more interesting. But considering it was in the 23rd slot of 100, it's just like, why is that video there? So then we had 24, what's in it? 72. So what's in the first pages of a new edition? So what's in it is, I think, pretty good as a category, but it didn't do that well. So it might be that I needed to show the first pages, but I also talked about a new edition. And this whole time I've been making a new edition. So like, why would people care about what's in the first pages of a new edition if we've only been looking at a new edition anyway? Like, that's that doesn't make any sense. Number 25, contents, 168 views. That did pretty well. So the contents of a commonplace binder. So instead of telling people, I'm going to tell you what's in here, or I'm going to show you, I'm going to say, look, this is like the main ideas of what's actually in the thing. And so people clicked on it. You know, as we keep going through this, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to start mentioning what the titles are and like how they did, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. So I can do additional videos on this, but for the rest of the video, because it's, you know, another 75 things, I'm just going to talk about what worked or what didn't work. So we'll start with what didn't work. So we've got why as a keyword, system as a keyword, documenting, tool, flow, revisiting, index. And then what did work on this page was obviously speaking well, you need, what is it, ideas, notebook, product, organization, attention span, focus. And the things that did okay, long, tips, importance, my craft, update, famous person, conversion, opinion, don't. So the things that didn't work out on this next page, differences, planner, digital commonplace, guide, self-promotion, sold, inspiration, speak, how, guide for experts. What did work on this page, reading, working, remember, diary. What sort of worked on this page, stories, quote, field notes, drawing, morals, beginner, creativity, use, tour, prepping, demo. On this page of 76 through 100, which will be the final page, we do have some stuff after this, but of the 100 videos, this is the final page. Of the things that didn't work, tag, storage, Instagram, Q&A, create, advice, expert, margin, capture, FAQ. The things that did work, I set up, easy, decluttering, bonus content. Of the things that sort of worked, we've got addition, archiving, begin, my personal, handmade, paper, ways, evolve, timestamps, and flip through. This is just the general page where I tried to figure out what actually worked and what didn't. But the main thing I had to do was write down the actual view count of the videos and then just eliminate what didn't get any views. Now, I could have also taken into account the number of comments that the video had, as well as the positive or negative reception. But because the channel is quite low on views, I decided to just go on the things that get a little bit more views. And then this is a recommendation for myself. And then this is what should have been the thumbnail. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you can leave some comments down below about which videos you think did well, which didn't, and why. Anyways, good luck with your stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, it looks like I forgot to add the right number of videos. So I added number 64 as the thing to double, and that got 76 views, and that is actually use your commonplace binder. So there you go.